Howdy.
Oh, hi.
Thanks for stopping by Rabbit Troop Sucks. It's pleasant to have you in our corner sometimes, and I don't know how you found your way here, but we're glad you came. So stay a little bit. Get a drink. Warm yourself by a fire. The fire in your mind. The rage in your mind. Welcome to Rabbit Troop
Wow.
Sucks. I'm Paul, and next to me as always is Mike.
And we have mind rage tonight, apparently.
Tonight, outside of Mind Rage, and maybe I was led there from this, we're going to be covering 1986's TerrorVision, which is a rated R movie that we watched completely streaming on YouTube. So we couldn't even find it on Tubi. We went to YouTube and watched it.
Yeah, we had seen this movie years ago.
Yeah.
And apparently, I don't remember anything about this movie other than that we saw it. But yeah, you can't. It's just the whole thing's on YouTube, so hit that up.
Yeah, so yes, Mike is correct. I don't remember. I don't want to say anything. I remember half of this movie.
I remember the overall conceit of this movie, but most of like the things that happened, I did not recall.
Yeah, this movie is like 3 movies, so maybe I remember like a third of this movie. Like, yes, I remember the plot, and I remember overarchingly some things that happen, but there's some other things that also happen that I just don't remember. I'm gonna load up the IMDb summary of this. Oh no, I'm just clicking on buttons now. The summary on IMDb is, a family's new satellite TV system starts receiving signals from another planet, and soon it becomes the passageway to an alien world. Well, this brings us to our October edition and Halloween weather style of Rabbit Troop Sucks, and this is why we chose this movie, that we thought aliens, demons, ghosts, all of these things definitely fit in, and we are definitely going to be celebrating this all through October and Halloween month. I actually almost heated up some cider today. I don't know if my soul was ready yet.
I understand. Well, we have the weather for it. It is right now in Denver. It is 40 degrees cooler than it was 36 hours ago.
Yeah, and we're in September. I mean, when we premiere these, and well, when we record these, it's a couple weeks behind or a few weeks behind, depending on the gap. So, yeah, when you hear this, I mean, definitely apropos to the season we'll be talking about. So, welcome to October, everyone. Even when we hear this again ourselves.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
We are the number 1 and 2 listeners of Rabbit Troop Sex.
Hey, there are dozens of us.
There are people out there who watch movies like TerrorVision and appreciate that, and they're like, I want to feel good this Halloween, and I'm like, yes, you can by watching movies like TerrorVision.
Yeah,
maybe.
But yeah, you'll feel something.
So we have a crew of a bunch of people I don't know. I can't even read my own handwriting. Was it Ted Nicholson?
I don't know.
I think it's Ted Nicholson.
You're asking the wrong dude about people's names.
Oh no. We're already off to...
Which one's Ted Nicholson?
Ted Nicolou. Maybe that's why I can't read my own handwriting. And I try to see what he has done outside of this.
Is he the director?
He is.
Okay.
And I remember the cover of Subspecies, and that is a movie. And I also remember the cover of Vampire Journals. I may have even rented that at some point in time.
Vampire Journals?
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think like we're looking into like early 90s, mid 90s, and just renting random things on VHS.
Is that what spawned the Vampire Diaries?
It might be just like, it actually could be connected.
Okay.
Now, the one thing we should know is that we have the dad, who Mike will tell you about in a little bit, and I think I'm pronouncing his name right. The biggest star I know in this is John Grace, or Grace.
I would say Grease.
Grease.
But
John
I don't
Grease.
know.
I think you're, John. Let's go with John Grease. I know him in 2 major roles going back. First is Laszlo, the man who lives in the closet in Weird Science. No, not Weird Science. So Real Genius, where with Val Kilmer, and he lives in Val Kilmer's closet.
Oh, that's right.
And then also Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite. And oftentimes, for all of you Napoleon Dynamite fans out there, I think when he's just sitting on the porch with Kip and he goes, "Hey, Kip, what do you think? What do you bet me I could throw this here football over them mountains?" and I just think about just attainable goals every day, and I think that's just not one of them. So I don't know why I think about that often, but I do love this actor, and I do in one version or not, I do hope I pronounced your name correctly, but yeah, I like him all throughout this. I think he's fun in almost any movie I've ever seen. But I really don't know many people, but Mike, you do. And this is a movie Mike and I have seen before, but Mike watched it more recently.
Yeah, the father, I don't know his name. I recognized him immediately, but I couldn't place it, so I had to look it up mid viewing. But if you've seen the Chud series, the second film, Chud 2, Bud the Chud, he's Bud the Chud.
Yeah.
That's all I got for you. I don't know his name, or I don't know what else he's been in. He's been in one episode of basically every show that was on in the 80s and 90s. He's one of those guys.
I just hope he's not most recognized walking down the street and people are like, dude, that's Bud the Chud.
It's Bud the Chud. No, he would be.
Bud. Bud the Chud.
Also, Chud 2 Bud the Chud, that movie fucking sucks.
You say buy the Chud?
But Bud the Chud?
Okay.
I don't know what I
By the
actually
books?
said. By the books, yeah. The daughter, do you know who this is?
I don't.
It's Princess Joanna from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's
the only
fantastic.
thing that's the only thing I know her from. But she's dressed like Cyndi Lauper, so it's kind of hard to.
Well, honestly, and I have notes about that. She is my favorite character for this reason.
100%.
She is 100% dressed like Cyndi Lauper, and she she has some choice lines and choice actions. She is definitely my favorite. Basically, the kids are my favorite in this movie. That we've talked before, like the animal that doesn't really exist, and other people. But I think the two kids are my favorite. I don't know, they're just kids.
I like the daughter and I like the grandfather.
I'm overall okay with the grandfather. The grandfather, I have a couple bonus strikes against that guy that we'll talk about. But I do like the kid because kind of like the shadow of the grandfather, because there's like overdub narration, like, you are now using the force, young one, and I could guide you this way. He's like, I'm gonna blow up everything because that's the grandpa way. So
That's fair. Actually, I should specify. I don't really like the grandfather when this is foreshadowing a little bit. I don't like him when he's the grandfather, but in the third act, I like the grandfather's appearances. We'll talk about that.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, we start off with this movie that a bunch of nothing's happening, honestly.
Yeah.
We see that on just a budget of $5, there's a model set of some space station far away on a planet or some like interplanetary habitation.
Right. Planet Pluton.
Yeah, and it looks like hot garbage. I mean, it just zooms in on this model and it says that they're doing something and I don't really know what's going on.
It was the sanitation department.
Oh yeah, so yes, it was sanitation something, and I didn't really. I mean, I was writing some notes. I was like, wow, that's really long, and then they're basically panning into what I had listed as Pizza the Hut, or for all of you,
That's also what I had written down.
or for all of you Ninja Turtle fans out there, maybe a mixture of that and Krang from the little pink brain that lives in that big robot, and it's all like, "Grr," and they keep going back to it. They kill it, and then they shoot a laser beam out, and we later find out kind of why, but not really why at all. But they shoot a laser beam, and then it bounces off 5 planets like we're playing pinball. This looks terrible. And then the movie starts and it just busts into a song that I was able to Shazam, which was TerrorVision by Richard Band and the Fibonacci's. And I love this song. I'm not even making fun of it. The song is kind of badass. It's like surf rock meets the Munsters and the B-52s.
Yeah, I have B-52s written down as well. That's what it sounds. It sounds like if someone was like a cappella singing a B-52 song from memory.
Yeah, and kind of like changing up like maybe like organ lines and piano lines from the Munsters into a guitar surfy rock song.
Yeah. So the credits, there were, I feel like, way too many credits at the beginning of this movie.
Well, I mean, straight up, we just listened to the entirety of like a 3-minute song.
Yeah, that it was.
And I did write, I said, by minute 2, I'm actually into it. Because I thought it's very abrasive at first because you see this laser beam, bing, bong, pinging through. And all of a sudden you're like, and you're like, whoa. And then it keeps going. And there's lyrics and vocals. And I'm like, I don't know what's happening. But by minute 2, I'm like, let's keep going. I like it.
Yeah, why not? So the credits resolve and we're now in this really, I like 80s stuff. So to me, this was like a super dope 80s house. There's like a sunken living room, a lot of weird like porn artwork.
Yeah, I note
But
the porn really
yeah,
quickly. I mean, do you remember the famous 80s artist that's often
I
brought?
don't. But it's the one they make fun of an American Dad in
Yeah,
that
it's like,
episode.
it's always like this like white woman like figure. She's wearing sunglasses, or you see more of her hair, the
Right. It's kind
glasses.
of like abstract and like a little wavy.
Yeah, so that
It's that, but like everyone's fucking.
yeah, like imagine like that's all fine though, like the original artist that I was noting,
Right.
but this one is really kind of much lower end, more minimalistic, and yeah, as Mike is noting, it's all like weird sex poses and sex scenes and dominatrix scenes, and it's all over. I mean, there's like 50 paintings.
Oh,
and
at least, yeah.
it's
And
even noted by
statues.
someone later, like, "Oh, I like this." He's like, "Ah, you gotta like love art. I get it real cheap." And I'm like, all right, I bet,
He does
I
get it
bet,
real cheap.
I bet.
Yeah, so we got this dope house, and there's a woman like doing jazzercise to the TV. Outside is a dad who's wearing like a jumpsuit with like a cravat, like, like an Austin Powers scarf. And
You could say it's about the show.
it's but the chat. Well, it is, yeah. And he's installing his satellite dish, and it's the budget model. It's the do-it-yourself 100 or something. Yeah.
yep.
And the guy who he bought it from, who, to quote the father, is just hanging out and guzzling my heinies,
Yeah.
because he's drinking all of his beers. He's just watching. I don't know what his role in the satellite dish installation. He's just watching. He's not helping. I guess because it's the do-it-yourself.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was his role. It was, I advised you against this. You're doing this on your own, and if things break, I have to fix it, but you have to do this yourself. And he's like, wouldn't it just be easier if you help me? No, I could only do it if you do it, if something breaks. So I can't touch anything. In the end, yeah, the dad's really pissed off, like, stop drinking all my beers.
Yeah, so they're just kind of getting into this little tussle. Then the grandfather shows up, who is dressed like a military lunatic clown.
Yeah, keep talking about the grandfather. I have to look him up. He's got to be in
Yeah,
the
no,
mix.
he's wearing like what I think is an Air Force uniform. Like I don't know stripes, but I think they were Air Force stripes. But like his hat has little toy airplanes glued to it. His uniform, like the what are the little shoulder loops? Epaulettes. They have like tanks on them, but like little toy tanks. It's bizarre. And he's carrying a flyer for what I believe is his homemade lizard jerky.
Yes. And wait, before you get into
Okay.
that, I believe I'm looking at Burt Remsen. And you probably best know him clearly as Riverboat Poker player in Maverick.
Oh, okay.
Maybe one episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine as Cubis.
Sure. Yeah, I remember Cubis.
I'm seeing all these things like we've probably seen like The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr. One episode, Judge.
I mean, I believe that I've seen him in all of these things, but I don't.
Rotary Club president and The Bodyguard.
Of course.
You-
I don't remember a Rotary Club from The Bodyguard. But
He's the Rotary Club president.
Wow.
Yeah, I like this. Not even listed. Man, he doesn't even have a name. Jeez, he's in a movie called Wild Card, and it just says TV movie.
okay.
Yeah, so
So that's that
Yeah, you
guy.
should talk about the lizard jerky, how it regenerates, and he actually gives OD John Grease a pamphlet on this.
He does. Yeah, later on he does. Yeah, apparently he makes lizard jerky. We meet the lizards later. But he's kind of got this relationship with the son who is like a military kook. And we find out that's not like a diss on the military, but like this the grandfather and the kid are like, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, most people don't have like steel bunkers and like probably like 27 machine guns.
Yeah,
and,
this guy's got like a
handguns
bunker
and,
with
just
like
baskets of grenades.
Yeah. I don't know if he's like a survivalist or
I think
like
he
a
is.
doomsday
Well,
prepper.
that's
or just
that's
a
more
weirdo.
it. So it's like that's like he says something about the being in the military, but that as Mike notes, that's clearly not a shot at anyone serving the military. This is
Right.
more. I'm planning like doomsday because you later see like as it pans through this bunker that there's these like watering plants devices. He is eating the tails of lizards.
Right. He's got like Confederate flags everywhere, which was probably less problematic at the time.
Yeah,
but,
that's why I said like
now
Grandpa's not maybe my favorite. Like
No.
I got some shots against him. You see, just like got in the corner some Confederate flags. I'm like, oh, Grandpa, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Well,
No.
yeah.
Come on, Grandpa.
Grandpa, no. But yeah, so him and the kid and Gramps are kind of like shooting the shit. Dad and the other guy are trying to install the satellite dish, and then this just out of the blue, this space lightning bolt comes down and hits the satellite dish.
Yeah, after Dad hits it with a hammer a couple times, it's just lightning bolts. So
Yeah.
now we're from the beginning. What's this alien thing doing? It
Right.
shot some kind of lightning bolt, and now it's implanted itself into the satellite dish and
Right.
the feed that it will be getting for the rest of the night.
Yeah. So we cut to a little bit later. We're inside the house. Bud the Chud has this gigantic remote, which I thought was just for the satellite, but apparently controls everything in the house.
The props in this movie are super duper low budget, but
That's
I am
correct.
not going to lie to you. I adore the remote control on this.
Yeah, it has like a rotating satellite dish on the remote.
That's
which
my
is
favorite.
great.
Yeah, this is like one step away from Get Smart. I mean,
Yeah,
it is
100%.
like I don't know, like a 1.5 by like 1 or maybe close to 1 foot controller. It's huge. You have to use 2 hands to control it. And as Mike noted, it has this pop up rotary like satellite, like beep, 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 and like 15 buttons. It's like the Nintendo Advantage versus an arcade stick versus Get Smart watches.
Right,
Yeah, it was dope.
I control my entire entertainment system from my Apple TV remote, but I would replace that tomorrow with that remote.
Yeah, Chris, who was on the show as our guest recently, he is into super cool kind of retro electronics and knows much more about it than I. But if this was a real thing, this would be something I promise you he would covet and be like, this is the coolest thing that ever existed.
Maybe you can build one.
That I hope he builds this one.
Yeah.
Chris, you are being commissioned to build us a set of a series of Rabbit Troop Sucks remote controls that
Perfect.
maybe do something.
Yeah.
We could all
We'll have it in the merch store here shortly, I'm sure.
You could transmit secret signals to us.
Yeah. So but the whole family's getting in on this. They're playing with the remote. They're checking out the different channels that you can get. There's like the martial arts channel and then channel 69, of course, was the porno channel. They watch that for a little bit.
Yeah, there's flipping through,
Yeah.
like, hey kids, you can watch all these weird channels like sci-fi, all these things. Let's just like watch this porno channel. And when that happened, was the dad highlighting that to the son?
I think so. Well,
Because it was like,
yeah.
like channel 69.
69, bro.
But like he kind of leaned off like to the son. Like the
Right.
son's like 10.
He's setting him up. We learn more about the parents' hobbies here in a second. So he's getting the son ready to follow in dad's footsteps.
Thanks.
So then they kind of like fight over the remote as to what channel, and like the dish wigs out a little bit. Some weird like Ghostbuster beams come out of the TV. But then nothing really happens. But then they land on a channel which it's Medusa's Midnight Horror-thon.
Yeah.
And this is like,
I also like Medusa.
yeah, Medusa's great. She becomes a reoccurring character.
Yeah, she's like it's very
like an Elvira, yeah.
Elvira style, where it's she's the host of these late
Right.
night
It's like
movies.
a buxom, monster lady hosting these horror
Yeah,
movies.
and I love Elvira, and this woman's kind of the similar way. Like,
Right.
I'm not taking shit from anyone. Like, here's the movies, but like, hey, like, leave me alone. I'm like, I like this person.
Yeah, she was cool. So she was my favorite character.
That's fair. I still like the sisters. Sisters.
No,
number one.
Sister's great. Yeah. Strong female characters in this movie. Sister and Medusa. But this is where we meet John Grease, who rolls up. He's the boyfriend, the new boyfriend.
Yeah, it's my new boyfriend. He's a music genius. You got to
Music genius. His name is O.D.
Yeah.
And the father says, O.D., is he Irish?
A lot of quick-witted quips in this movie.
From Bud the Chud. But it's Uncle Rico. He walks in and he's wearing like the full leather daddy, like the leather vest, leather pants,
Gauntlets. Don't forget,
gauntlets,
'cause that's gonna come
that'll
into play.
come into play. Yeah, gauntlets. What was the T-shirt he was wearing?
Wasp.
Yeah, it was a Wasp T-shirt. And they're gonna go out for the night. So he says, yeah, we'll be back later, Dad. The dad doesn't really care, but the daughter says, hey, can we use the jacuzzi later?
And I actually had to write this down, and this is quickly answered. The mom's like, no, like not tonight. Like,
Not tonight.
It's kind of alluded to. Normally, maybe, like we're
Yeah.
open to it. But Mommy and Daddy are going out. They're going to meet some people, and we're probably going to come back and use the jacuzzi pool and swing.
Yeah.
And I wrote, did she just say she's going to swing to her kids?
Yes.
And spoiler,
Correct.
she is exactly saying
Yeah.
that. I did not mishear that. It was, no.
No. We're going to be swinging. So they had to leave because they were going to be late to the cha-cha room, which is apparently
I did
where
not catch
where
that.
the swinging begins.
Is that where they go in Crime Wave? Is that the shot?
It might have been. No, that was the Club Rialto.
Oh, that's fair. In my mind,
I only
it's
know
all
that
the
because
same.
that was a real club in Denver.
Oh yeah, it
Yeah.
was. Oh hey, we're in Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, Denver, Rialto. Yeah, I think I talked about that way too long while drunk one night.
We should
On this
record.
podcast.
We should record in the middle of Cheeseman Park one night. Just me and you and you know, 2 in
and
the
you'll
morning.
hear the sound of hobos murdering us.
It'd be or that grizzly bear documentary where the guy's just chewed up at the end, and you just hear him being chewed. That's just us. Like, just don't or do watch this movie. It was on Hubie, Tubi. Our sponsor was Ginsu knives. They're in my chest.
They would be.
They
Yeah.
will cut a can. They will cut my bone.
I mean, well, I honestly, like, I'm not opposed to doing something like that because Cheeseman Park is cool and probably haunted because it is literally on an Indian burial ground. Or no, it was on an old. It was a Jewish cemetery.
No, it's a multiple. Just it's a mass.
No,
Cemetery.
it was a massive cemetery.
Yeah, just a mass
And they
cemetery.
routinely still find. Like,
Yeah.
they tried to relocate them, but it didn't take, I guess.
Yeah, as they keep expanding the Botanic Gardens, and even within the Botanic Gardens, they have found multiple bones. They keep finding sections of bone.
Yeah, so that's a cool little. I mean, it's a fun place, and I think you and I are both members of the Botanic Gardens, right?
Yeah, and it's the I can't think of the house on.
You know what? I don't know that this. We were kind of derailing this. I don't.
It's Halloween. Stuff.
Okay, that's fair. You know, we're talking about because they do the Halloween tour in the house.
Yeah,
you're
I'm just
talking
trying
about.
to think of the name of the mansion itself. I'm looking. It was the Waring House. The Waring House was donated to the Botanic Gardens, and if any of you go to the Botanic Gardens, it's there. And I have had access to it twice because I went on 2 of the haunted tours, and they said, you know, just to the mass public, that's the only time we really opened the doors to it. But apparently, according to them, it is the most haunted house in America, if I'm not mistaken, or at least one of them. So it's super cool to go into it. The architecture on the inside is super awesome, and I mean, we often talk about Colorado things, but like these are super haunted things in centrally located in Denver, Colorado. So
That's true.
yeah, if any of you have more insight or ever want to give any of us a ghost tour of something, Rabbit Troop Sucks will totally do it and totally record all of it. So I am super into that. Any of you listeners, yes.
So yeah, thank you for joining us for Rabbit Troop Sucks, the podcast about TerrorVision and the Denver Botanic Gardens. Have you been to the ghost tour at the Stanley Hotel?
Yes.
That's a fun one.
Yeah, that was super fun. I got in the room. I think I told you this. Did you get in the room?
Yeah. Well, no, they opened it and we could look into it, but we couldn't walk around.
We were lucky enough that our tour went by. What do you remember the room number? I know it's like The Shining.
213, 28.
It is 2 something.
It's 2 something.
We're the worst movie hosts you could
This is
ever
great.
have.
Yeah, the good content for you guys.
Chris now is listening and is like, I hate
Yeah,
both of you.
well,
And Chris,
so many listeners are now like,
Chris-
you guys are fucking dumb.
Chris is like, oh my god, this is like basic knowledge. But yeah, we were lucky enough that when we went past it, it was me, my wife, and my brother-in-law that the people rented out the room, and they're like, oh, we actually just got here. Like, if all of you want to see it, and even the guide was like, come on, you don't have to do that. But the couple was like, honestly, if just like no one touches anything, like we're super cool with it, and everyone's like, hell yeah, like so that was like super cool. So I actually got to go through it. But yeah. I mean, all go stuff. Yes,
Yeah,
reach out to us, Denver and Colorado listeners. We're in for this. Also, I noted, and this will probably be the last time I mention it, and it'll be the later one, but we are looking for one extra movie to critique over the Halloween season. And if you have any cool recommendations, and I'll start posting about this in other ways as well. Let us know. Reach us at our Instagram, reach us at Facebook, email us at rabbittroopsuckspodcast@gmail.com. Let us know a movie you might want to watch, and if we choose your movie, we'll totally give you credit that we selected for that, and we'll contact you, we'll ask you for an address, and we'll send you a cool Rabbit Troop Sucks shot glass.
That's correct. So are you thinking
gratis.
this will be a like the last of our Halloween movies?
I think we'll have maybe one more special one on Halloween after, so...
Okay.
Yes. So kind of like
So we're gonna pick this movie on the fly.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you guys, I mean, you won't hear this for a little bit, but you'll have time. We'll post it on social media. But when you're hearing this, I know that realistically, the episode that you pick might be in a week or two from when you're hearing this, but we're gonna pick it last minute. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
still time, still time.
Mike and I are usually pretty open to anything. We don't really want to always listen to current things, especially because we don't really know if it's obscure yet or forgotten about. We've picked, a couple over time, but it's very handpicked, and some of you are probably just going to disagree, like, oh my God, that was totally not obscure. But that's why I try to stay away from super modern films. So I guess that'd be the one disclaimer. I don't really need to watch a snuff film or any private killings or murder films. If you possess a film that is very similar to The Ring in real life, where I will die in 7 days, I am absolutely not interested. So your mystic zombie curses are not welcome amongst Rapid Troop Sucks.
Yeah, nothing that's gonna curse us.
So I guess a bunch of disclaimers. That was the spiritual legal disclaimer that I just gave you. That's spiritual legalese.
Well, we'll readdress that that little contest or whatever we're gonna call it, promotion at the end of the episode. But let's get back to this movie after our little tangent. So the parents have gone to the fucking cha-cha room. And the grandfather and the kid are just hanging out on the couch watching TV. The grandfather pulls some aluminum foil wrapped pocket jerky out of his pocket.
Yep.
With lizard jerky, and they're eating it. He's got a pamphlet about making lizard jerky that he gives to OD. You mentioned that earlier.
OD's like, no, man, I chowed down earlier.
He chowed down earlier. So they go off for whatever adventure they're going to have. And Gramps and the kid are just kind of messing with the remote. They're cycling through the channel.
Actually seems like a super dope evening. Like Gramps clearly, or as I wrote, G-Paw all throughout this, just clearly doesn't care. And I mean that in a sincere way where it's, I care, like Grandpa is saying this mentally, I would assume. I care about my grandson, but he can eat all the junk food he wants. We're going to watch monster movies. I've likened them to survivalist precautionary tales. That's what he's already said.
Right.
We're going to have a fun night. I was like, that's super cool. Then they're flicking around stations. For all of you Rick and Morty fans out there, that's what it kind of reminded me of.
Yeah, it's like interdimensional cable.
Yeah, they're seeing satellite, things from all over infinite areas. And one is just the monster channel where you just see a monster eye and it just looks at you and it knows. And we quickly learn that it really does know. It's watching you and you're watching it. And it's totally judging you. You could tell by that animatronic eye. It totally knows. And it doesn't like you. It does not like you. You've wronged it.
Yeah. So, but they end up back on the Medusa channel.
I do like that channel.
Yeah, that was a good one. I would watch that.
I watched Up All Night, and that's another thing that was very
USA Up All Night?
Yeah,
it was Gilbert Gottfried and like that woman whose name I don't remember.
And she'd be like, Up All Night.
Yeah.
And then it was Jim Bob, who does on a bunch of Shudder stuff now. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Jim Bob. Okay, so the grandfather and the son fall asleep.
Yeah, wait, the only thing I want to know about the Medusa channel is Medusa always has these, like one-liner erotic things. And the grandpa's super into it. He's commented on her physique several times, I think. And the kid's just totally watching it. And she's saying all these things like call me. I want to hear your real kinky nightmares. And she'll always like throw something in. And I kind of dig it because you think it's all like sultry. And it is. But then it's all like super tough, like, but I'll kill you. And that's the Elvira way. I love it. Love it.
So this is just a quick shout out to another podcast that I like, Astonishing Legends. They actually have an episode about Elvira, about Jim Bob. They actually interview him. And it's about kind of like the trajectory of his show. They focus on, I mean, obviously with the name, kind of like fun mysteries and legends, and they just wanted to talk to him. It's a great podcast and a great episode. So if that's your thing, you should check that out. Astonishing Legends. It's a much better podcast than this.
And they should also promote us. Be like, hey, are you listening to this?
Yeah.
You should listen to Rapid Troop Sex.
That's fine. I would do that. So yeah, they fall asleep watching Medusa, and then the monster just comes out of the screen. It's kind of unprompted. He just wants out of the television. So it's like The Ring. He just kind of like lightnings himself out of the television.
Yeah, but he's all like creeping up on the kid. Like Grandpa and the kid Sherman are having kind of like a sweet grandpa and
Right.
grandson moment. They're under this like huge blanket on a big couch. They both fell asleep watching horror films. But then this monster comes out and you see like creeping around Grandpa, but it's going like under the blanket to the kid. I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
it's
that was kind of
too much monster. But when the grandfather finally wakes up, he just goes, and I wrote this down like, great balls of fire.
Yeah, this is why I like the grandfather, because he has some great one-liners.
I know, like, let's ditch the Confederate flag, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you could be the cool grandpa all around. We don't need that.
Yeah, if it wasn't like yeah, I don't know. So that they cheese it down to Grandpa's emergency bunker.
Love it. I'm gonna say this all the time. I love bunker rooms. I love secret rooms. I think we've noted this. You know, we said this on Brain Scan. Any kind of room, gun rooms and disorderlies, whatever it takes. I love secret rooms. Secret rooms. All of you Webster fans out there love secret rooms. Holla to secret rooms.
Yeah. So they run down to their secret bunker, and then the satellite repair guy shows up. I guess the father, before he went to the Cha-Cha room, called him up just to see if there was something he could do to fix it.
So here's my question. I didn't know it was broke at that time. Like, was it broke? Because
you
they
know-
were watching the Monster Channel and everyone seemed cool with it. And
Yeah, I don't know. No one seemed clear on the status of the TV's.
I mean, later the father does acknowledge, like, this guy's doing a good job setting it up, and he, like, the father does acknowledge, like, I did call him, but I don't think it's established why at all.
Yeah, I don't know. But so anyway, he comes back. He knocks on the door. No one answers. So he just kind of goes around to the back to start working on the satellite dish. And, no surprise here. The monster fucks this guy's shit all up. There's not really much to it. He he kills him. Back down in the bunker. Grandpa is as
Well, he's not dead yet. So
Grandpa.
No. So the guy on the repairman is not dead yet. They are in the bunker, but Grandpa thinks there's burglars. He's trying to rationalize that this isn't a monster.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So he's like, these are burglars. Get the guns. He gives his grandson a real gun. He gets a gun, and they're like, we need to go hunting for this thing. They hear something on the rooftop, and then they go up there and they pull the guns on the repairman. They're like, whoa, dude, what are you doing? He's like, I don't know what's going on. I'm just here to repair it. It's like, there's burglars. Did you see them? No. And the kid tried to rationalize, like, well, it was a monster. You saw it. He's like, grandson, that was a Halloween mask. They wear these masks. He said, quote unquote, to scare the poop out of us.
Yes.
And then they go in there. So he's like, the grandfather's even grilling the repairman, like, do you have Halloween masks? And the repairman's like, doesn't even know what to make
bro,
sense of that. Yeah, like, he's like, I don't know. I need to just repair this. But we do see that there's just like plant matter and weird plant goo all up in this satellite dish, and that's how we get
it's
it.
covered in like seaweed and shit.
And then basically the grandfather and the kid are like, well, we're going to see if there's burglars. He's like, well, I'm going to fix this. And then immediately there's a plant monster that just kills him.
That's when he gets killed. So yeah, Gramps and the kid are inside kind of like, hunting for burglars. And Grandpa does what Paul and I did a little bit ago and pours himself a glass of Four Roses bourbon. That's what I'm drinking presently.
Hey, Four Roses, you could reach out to us.
Yeah.
And I will say blank about your company when you tell us that you're sending us some Four Roses.
Yeah. Is it good or not? I don't know. I can't tell yet.
It is blank.
Insert message here. We'll find out what it is, depending on how much money you give us.
Right? We could even be like, hey, a listener, you could win 4 roses, buy 4 roses. And we could even enter the pool, so we could win it ourselves. You could just send us 4 roses.
That doesn't seem legit, but okay, I'm into it. And then, he's drinking his 4 roses, and then the monster shows up. I think, am I right here? Keep me honest.
Well, so I saw that the repairman's name is Norton, and
no one gives a shit about Norton.
He's
We're never
dead.
going to see him again.
We're not.
Yeah.
Because we will see other people. You can't keep anyone dead in this movie
No.
except for Norton, because we're not going to see him again.
Yeah, no one gives a shit about Norton. But the monster shows up and just immediately gets a claw around Grandpa's head.
Yeah, that was a bummer. But Grandpa goes down kind of quick. I mean, I can't blame this death. I mean, you don't really expect a monster, and he is looking for human burglars, but this weird eyeball creature sneaks up on him. Grandpa even gets off a couple rounds from a gun, but this thing just basically claws around his head and just goos him. Goo claws him. I did write that. It goo claws him.
It does, yeah.
Good old
Just
goo
so
claw.
much green goo comes out.
Yeah.
So yeah, he explodes into goo. The monster, for some reason, eats his pants, I think.
Sure.
And then just goes back into the television.
And the kid runs back to the bunker. Like he's
Yeah.
like, Grandpa, no, sees all of this. And then I wrote, this movie is now extra effed up. And this is what I said before. This movie is several movies for me. This movie is one like, holy crap, like things got real. This other movie is the sexcapades of the adults, which is like, I'm not judging anyone's lifestyle. It's just super bizarre because they're also like very open about it with their probably like 15 or 16-year-old daughter. The 10-year-old son is there. I'm not saying anyone should be ashamed of anything, but like this might be too sexually open, especially with the artwork and various other things. I don't know if kids could misconstrue a lot of things that are going on. I'm going to say yes. So there's that kind of story. There's also the story of just a monster who wants to be a monster and the alien who lost its pet. So there's a lot of crap going on, and and it's overlapping. But in this instance, I'm like, whoa, this movie like changed quickly because it's more of like a darker, demented Pee-wee's Playhouse, and you're like, okay, that's weird. And all of a sudden, like now Grandpa's dead, and you're like, holy God, okay. And this kid saw it, so he's back in the bunker.
Yeah, he goes back to the bunker. He calls 911, and because he's a fucking moron, he rather than saying like someone killed my grandfather, send help, he's like, yeah, there's a monster. I'm a dumb fucking kid, and the cops are like, you can't prank call us, kid.
Right. So part of me watching this, I was trying to break down the psychological aspects of maybe the police officer, because I mean, if this was modern times, anywhere in 2000 and above, and I know like 20 plus years ago, so 2000 above, I feel if a police officer answered the phone, they might think, this kid might not be making sense of what actually is happening. He's using the word monster maybe to highlight intruder.
Like maybe we should send help.
Yeah,
anyway.
like one way or another, like let's send a squad car over because, I mean, this kid's spouting off about monsters. I think it's pretty ingrained in most American children that 911 is for emergencies only. And I mean, yeah, this kid could get in some serious trouble for prank calling 911. But again, like screaming, no, monsters did this. My grandfather's dead. Like maybe he doesn't fully understand what's happening. Let's check it out.
Yeah. But the police officer he was talking to was not on board with that.
No, it's like Goonies when they shut down Chunk. Like you called here before,
Right.
Stop calling. You called about these things that hatch when they eat after midnight. Like you're pranking me. I'm sick of this. Yeah. No, shutting it down.
Yeah. But now the parents come home.
Yeah, what was it? What's the license plate?
Mr. Cool.
Yeah, Mr. Cool.
So the father has a white Porsche with the license plate Mr. Cool, and he parks it next to what we can infer is his wife's car, which is a red Volkswagen Beetle convertible with the license plate Mrs. Fox. And there's another car following him. It's an old Mercedes SL, who contains two characters who we're about to meet. Spiro and Cherry.
Yeah, so I'm going to apologize to Cherry right off the bat. I thought, because I heard Spiro talk first, and I might reference him as Stelio for many reasons. Spiro, Stelio.
Because we're racist towards Greeks.
I heard, my mother's Greek. There you go.
Okay.
I heard him talk first, and for whatever reason, she's got this like shorter blonde haircut, and it's the 80s. And I just assumed after hearing him talk that they were this very European couple. That
is not correct.
That is absolutely not correct because the moment she starts talking, because like, he's like, oh yes, like
I'm a Spiro.
Yeah, we're gonna have drinks and we're gonna do this and like they're part.
Oh hey, Mister.
Yeah, it's like a swing club. Yeah, it's like it is one step above Batman Beyond or Batman the Animated Series with the origins of Harley Quinn, because Mike's right. It's like, hey, Mister, I like what's going on here. Like Mike could do it way better. That was terrible, but it's like she's like talking about the artwork. I don't know. I'm gonna feed you a line, Mike. Talk about the artwork of the house.
Oh, it's like 80s people. No, I lost it. I can't do it.
You lost the moment.
I lost the moment. Yeah. Hey, they're banging on the wall.
That's kind of real nice stuff, Mister.
You got a great house there, Chief. Yeah, It's off-putting.
Yeah, yeah. So that's my apology to Cherry that I was like, oh, I thought she was going to be talking with this very almost like broken, paused way of talking. It's not, and
No, yeah, you expected her to like have a German accent or something.
yeah, like yes,
Yeah.
like I want to see the tapestries, like in Indiana Jones and the Last
Yeah,
Crusade.
well, she's very well put together. She has like kind of close cropped, short, like 80s lady hair. But she's looking nice. Cherry's good looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I didn't expect the voice, the voice to come out of her.
Yeah.
But
Golly gee.
oh shucks, mister, we're gonna fuck in your house. So
And that's not far off.
no, Bud the Chud introduces them to his house, which he calls the pleasure zone. So there's
three quadrants.
There's the pleasure zone.
You want to say quadrants.
Yeah. There's the pleasure den, which is the living room, and then there's the pleasure dome.
Wait, so there's the den, the dome. That's how I have. What's the other one?
The zone. So I think the zone was the whole house. The pleasure den was the living room, and the pleasure dome was the room with the pool.
Yeah,
I may have missed a pleasure quadrant. I don't know. In a house with 4 quadrants.
yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
No one does. But so he yeah. Jesus fucking Christ. He's trying to like get this couple warmed up. But in runs the kid who's freaking the fuck out because he just saw his grandfather get killed by a monster. And the mother's like, you didn't see a monster, like you're dreaming again. I'm going to make you take your pill. And this is the first time of a couple times, I think just 2, that someone references this kid having maybe some kind of psychological issue that he is being medicated for.
Because the mom goes, don't, because the Cherry says, maybe we should just cancel tonight. And again, everything's consensual. Like,
yeah.
This is weird. All I said was, maybe openly talking about this in front of your kids. They don't fully get what's going on, especially the 10-year-olds.
Know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, the sister directly says it later.
Yeah, she definitely knows what's going on.
So yeah, there's a lot going on. But the mom goes, "Don't worry, I'm just going to give him his pill." Like, and yeah, Mike is correct that these pills, because the sister also is like, "I just got to give him these pills." Like, awesome.
Well, the way they talk about it, it makes it sound like him taking the pills is kind of elective.
Yeah, but if this kid gets out of control, we got a bottle of pills.
And honestly, when this, especially after the second time, I started to think like, are they just gaslighting this kid? Like, is the end of this movie going to be this kid taking a pill and him being cool?
Well, Grandpa is not all there, so let's say that. And so he is basically just shacking up with Grandpa. He's learning a lot of weird ways, and then when the parents don't like what's being emulated, they're like, we're going to give him a pill because we're out doing God knows what in our jobs, God knows what in our personal lives, God knows what outside of this. Because, I mean, it's not, and I don't mean that, again, on the sexual swinging way. It is, they are just like party people. It's very clear, like, we have these massive bar in our house. We party all the time. Their door's always open. They're like, ha, ha, ha. Everyone could come in. Like, these parents, like, probably should not have kids at any point in time.
For sure.
Well, let's talk about the decor of the house at this moment. They're walking room to room, and they have like these weird rug runners, and then they have pedestals and statues throughout the hallway of where we're in. It is like you're in a museum of bizarreness. I mean, so the museum is like this. Imagine you went to Greece, you went to Italy, you went to Spain, you went to parts of Asia, and you found little stone statues at an airport, and then you put them on pedestals and brought them back. These are like not nice pieces of art. This is like tchotchke art that you found as a tourist, and now you're putting on pedestals with rug runners throughout your house.
Right. It's very similar. I know we've mentioned the show Community a couple times in this podcast. It's like when they go to Pierce Hawthorne's house for the first time, like that is effectively the house that we're in. It is the most amazing 80s thing in the world. I would, aside from the sex posters, I would live in the house.
I would at least take a tour of this house. I would not get into anything such as a jacuzzi pool or anything like that. I'd do a walkabout.
I'd hang out with that pool for sure.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so one of the more alarming things is that the parents seem more concerned with what the kid is saying than the fact that he is at this moment and for most of the movie walking around with a fully loaded M16 assault rifle.
So he did not at first, I don't think.
Well, I mean, like before they left for the swingers club, but at this moment,
Yes.
he
Okay.
is armed, and the mother's like, "You're having a dream. Go to bed." At no point is she like, "You have a large assault weapon
No,
in
no,
your
no,
hand."
no. So no, I'm going to justify that a little
Okay.
bit. So in the beginning of the movie, he kind of rolls out of a bush, and he's in like all these like camouflage gear,
Right.
a camouflage cap, and he's got this huge toy gun.
Is it a toy?
No, no, I think at very first. So he's got this toy gun and he's playing around like ha ha ha. Because I made a note, but we skipped it over. That has this toy gun. He's like, "Got you, Grandpa," and Grandpa takes out straight up a handgun.
That's true,
a
yeah.
real handgun, and points it like, "Ah, do you got me?" And the dad is like, "Okay, let's calm down." I'm like, "Wow, that's messed up." But Grandpa does give him a real gun when they go monster hunting.
Right.
So
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, was that just a real gun the whole time?
I'm assuming that he had a BB gun or a toy gun that the parents are very used to. It is the 80s that looks very realistic.
Okay, that's fair.
Again, because
there's no orange tip on this thing.
Yeah, I mean, if this was now or the 90s or the late 80s, totally. But I'm thinking they thought it was a toy gun. I would not put it past them. But yeah,
Okay.
I mean, on a side note,
that's a fair assessment.
he does have a gun.
He is armed.
And then at later points in time, he is using that gun, and people are like, "Whoa, don't always use the gun." Like, people aren't as alarmed as they should be. If we ever covered Shopping Mall, just the fact that in the 80s, you could just go to the gun store in a mall in certain areas of America. Sky's the limit, everybody.
Right.
The gun store. Rabbit Troop Sucks has been brought to you by the gun store.
That's fine. You know, whoever's got the money, I'll take it. So
The tour is still going on.
the tour is still going on. Yeah, they're introducing him to the various pleasure rooms.
Quote of the dad. Ta-da! The Pleasure Dome. We did
Yeah.
The Pleasure Dome.
The-
After the Pleasure Den.
after the pleasure den, yeah. So they're making their way through all the rooms, and the TV's on in the pleasure dome. Because so the father takes out the big satellite dish remote, and he hits a button, and the bubbles come up in the pool. The stereo comes on, and also the TV comes on. And we can't hear what the person on the TV is saying yet, but this will become a reoccurring thing. We see an alien talking at the TV, potentially pleading with the humans of Earth, but we don't know that yet.
Do you remember a Seinfeld episode where Jerry wakes up and he sees something on TV and he scribbles it down and he can't remember? He laughs. He's like, haha, and goes to sleep. And he can't read his handwriting in the morning.
Yes.
The same episode, like George goes to a holistic healer to get healed. And Jerry's like, maybe you could read this note. I feel that's the video clip that we're seeing. This alien talking on the screen.
Yeah.
It's like, beep, beep, bop, bop, beep, bop, 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 bop. It's like, ha, 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 because you don't really know what he's saying. I know it's a tangential note that I wrote on the side, but I was like, well, what is going on with this?
Yeah, so like, and people are like, is this a horror movie? Like, what? This is a boring movie. It's just this guy talking. So everyone kind of discounts it for a while.
Also, I have a question, Mike. How many TVs do you think are in this house? Because
12 at least.
yeah, because TVs are actually, how many there are actually becomes important because it basically
That's
is
how
a
the monster moves around.
yeah, it's like a transportation system for the monster. I am very curious about this. I mean, how many TVs did your family have, like growing up?
One.
You had one, like always.
Correct. Yeah. Well, I mean, I got a TV for my room when I was like a teenager, maybe like
Sure.
maybe 12, but maybe it's like 12 or 13. But previous to that, we had a TV in the living room, and that was it.
So that was close to my experiences. We had two, so I know Mike said one, but Mike is an only child. I have a brother, so there are two of us. My brother had a very, very small TV, and it was actually because it was part of a computer monitor. It like doubled as that. So it was like overall used as like a TV as well. Sometimes here and there, it was never like hooked up to cable or anything, and sometimes we just didn't have cable. But overall, it was just one, and then it was like that. So it was like kind of another TV.
Right. There are TVs fucking everywhere in this house.
Right. Like Mike mirrors my experience. I didn't get a TV till I think I was like 13 or 14. Like honestly, and
So I mean, probably like the same year, give or take, that I did. You're just a year or two older than me. Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
because that was like another reason I was noticing TVs. Yes, this is a very well-to-do house, or at least we're supposed to like acknowledge that. Good God, this wasn't like this is noted in Back to the Future when he goes to the 50s. Like, no one has two TVs. He's just joking with you. So in the 80s, like people were like, oh, I have a TV in my room, and maybe like my sibling does too. So maybe 3 TVs. I did not grow up with that. So like this house has like honestly 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike's
Well,
right.
and when did this movie come out?
86. I think.
86. So at this point in time, we would have had one 13-inch black and white television in my house.
Yeah, we later had a black and white TV. I don't know how he even got it. My brother should phone in.
My parents did not have a television until I was born, and this is a story that I was told by my parents, so I don't know if it's true or not. But they didn't have a TV. But my grandparents bought a TV so that I could watch Sesame Street.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's the only reason we had that 12-inch black and white TV.
That's fantastic.
My parents were kind of hippies, so they didn't like TVs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, there's a billion TVs in this fucking house. But there's also a pleasure den, so we didn't have that either.
A lot of pleasure quadrants.
If we did have a pleasure den in my house growing up, they didn't show me where it was.
What quadrant would it be?
I don't know. There are too many Jan Michael Vincents in the quadrant.
Damn quadrants.
Fuck, where are we?
I don't know, somewhere.
Okay. That fucking alien was talking on the TV, but no one could hear it. So
one thing we skipped over, I think we're with the parents. Mom basically ditches the son off into the bunker because the alien is able to mimic Grandpa's voice. So like, I'm down here.
Well, not only that, but like he has Grandpa's head.
Yeah, so he
he
pops
peeks
up.
Grandpa's head around the corner, and this is. I guess when I said I like the grandfather, I like the alien pretending to be the
quirky
grandfather
alien version,
right? Because the alien like pokes grandfather's head around the corner, and it's like, oh, you know me, I'm just down here taking care of business. But like
I wrote that in, taking care of business.
But his head is covered in like slime.
He's sweaty.
Yeah.
I don't take, you don't.
Right. So the mother's
don't
like,
wanna know what kind
no,
of
like your
business."
slimy grandfather's down here. Just fucking shut up. We're going to go bang these strangers now. So she locks him in the basement.
Yeah. So here's the
with
question.
the monster.
So the grandfather basically has like this vault safe where you like spin a dial from the inside and it like, vaults.
It's like a
closed.
bomb shelter.
But on the outside, the mom locks the kid and she's like, "You're gonna be with Grandpa," and he's trying to explain, "That's not Grandpa. You're crazy. That's Grandpa. I just saw him." She shoves him down into the bunker, shuts the door. Why is there a lock and a chain?
There was a chain and a padlock like there, which to me says they locked this grandfather in there a lot.
Grandpa gets crazy. So the prequel is Grandpa is a werewolf, or when Grandpa's taking care of business, don't come a knocking. So I don't know what any of that means.
When he's making his lizard jerky.
Oh, Grandpa, no. No.
Yeah, so
Happy Halloween, everybody.
she locks him in there. Then she goes back to find the rest of the swingers. She walks through, the puddle of goo that is on the floor that was Grandpa.
If anyone was able to control F all of my handwritten notes, you would see goo is the predominant word outside of the.
Yeah. Yeah, if you were to do a word find all, goo would be the highlight.
Rabbit Troop Sucks is going to put out a word jumble. And,
brought
goo.
to you by goo.
Goo.
So yeah, she sees the goo and is like, what the fuck is this? Much like Ted Wardo, she touches the goo.
God, stop touching the goo.
Yeah, I don't know why you would even touch the goo. But then I don't really know what happens next. But now we actually see the alien on the TV.
Wait.
And we can hear it.
Would you be more alarmed if the goo is cold or hot? So warning, don't ever touch the goo.
There's no good temperature for goo.
But what would be the worst for you?
Warm.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Because my first thought was it vomit? Did a rat explode? What happened? and then you touch it and you're like, oh, it's recent. No, like it's still happening.
It's still warm. Did a rat explode? Is that a concern that we have?
Well, I mean, based on the visuals I saw, yes,
okay,
at
that's
that point.
Good God. Yeah. I wrote this down and I forgot to mention when the mother shoves the son into the dungeon room, she calls the kid a sissy. Stop being a sissy.
Great parenting.
Yeah.
Go back to the goo temp.
We're okay.
I feel if I put my hand on it and it was frozen, I'd be like, I don't know what this is, but like Grandpa had like a frozen hungry man, and that would probably look gross if you just saw it on the floor.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, that makes sense. But oh God, if you saw it and it was warm and it didn't look like Hungry Man, no.
It did not look like Hungry Man. This is not something you should
Like
touch.
if my daughter threw up in the corner, I'm not going to be like,
Let's touch that for a second.
how tepid is it? Like if I feel the consistency, this is going to help me out. It's not. What? Damn it, people! Stop touching goo. Jesus. You learned anything?
Yeah, Rabbit Troop Sucks brought to you this week by not touching goo.
Anti-goo.
Anti-goo. But yeah, so we see the TV now, we can hear it, and the alien on it is like, hey, look, I'm sorry, you have to destroy your satellites. There's a monster that can travel through TV. No TV for 200 Earth years.
That's my favorite. Like, shut down all of your satellites for your 200 Earth. I was like, 200 hours? Nope. 200 Earth years. Bummer.
And that sucks, but no one's really paying attention to this guy. It's not clear to me if this is only being broadcast in this house or if the rest of the world can see this.
I mean, I took it as it's a world broadcast.
Right.
Like,
so as long as you have
this
this shitty satellite dish, you can see this.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So that's fine. So, now we're back in the indoor pool room, which I believe is the pleasure den. Porn's on the television.
That's the pleasure dome.
Oh, the pleasure dome.
The den is
You're
with
right.
the TV.
The
The
den
dome
is-
is with the jacuzzi pool.
That's right. Okay. So
All of it, every room has a TV.
they're in the pleasure dome, and Dad and Cherry are getting into the pool. Spiro and Mom are off in the other room making drinks.
Yeah, Spiro's making drinks. I noted that it's just like a weird move. Like, imagine you just walk into someone's house. Like, you just met them. You walk into their house. Like, so you met them like an hour ago, and they're like, hey, like, we have a cool record. We have a cool movie. Come over and watch it. And we're like, okay, like, I just met you, but like, okay.
Sure.
And then they come in, and they're like, hey, I'm going to go to your bar and start making everyone drinks. I don't know you, but like, that was the weirdest move for me.
He had a recipe he wanted to try.
Did he?
I don't know.
Stelio, come on.
But so Stelio is talking to the mom. He's like, is your husband a manly man? And she's like, oh yeah, he's the manliest.
Also, behind Stelio is 5 full bottles of Jägermeister.
Correct,
Like,
yeah.
that's why I want to know. Like, this isn't like, someone has a cute little bar and a few drinks.
Right.
Like,
This isn't like a Drinks Globe classy situation.
someone's clearly like getting orders to their house.
Right.
They're like running this like a party room.
This is a party drinks room. It's like, is he a manly man? He's the manliest. It's like, does he take it like a man? She's like, I maybe? What do you mean? He's like, well, see, I'm Greek. I like Greek things. And maybe this is slang that I wasn't initially familiar with. But it's like, I'm Greek. I like all things Greek. I'm into boys. And she's like, okay. And she's now realizing that Stelios is not interested in fucking her so much as he is interested in fucking her husband.
I actually like this twist up. I thought this was actually kind of funny. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying this in a derogatory fashion. Because the mom handles this really chill. But
Yeah.
her like reaction is like, oh shit. Like miscommunication across the board. Like, I was going to sleep with you. He was going to sleep with her. He's like, nope. And she's like, this I don't think he's into. I don't know how to warn him that he's going to approach you like this. And I don't mean warning like he's a bad guy. Like, it's clearly crossed wires. And I did find this kind of funny. And I think this would probably be off-putting to a lot of people who watched it in the 80s. And they could go to hell.
Well,
I thought this was funny.
Like, that's actually a good point. And I don't want to get too deep into something this movie probably wasn't trying to imply at all, but like it isn't played off as like gross.
No.
Like no one makes a joke out of it. The wife's like, oh, like you want to bang my husband. Like, I understand that he probably isn't going to be into that, but like she wasn't off put by it. There was no like,
that's what I said before.
Nothing
like,
derogatory
about
was
the swinging.
said.
Like,
yeah.
I'm not judging anyone's lifestyle. Nothing was said was weird. Let me rephrase. This movie is very sex positive for the 80s. And and so it's funny. Like, there's like funny moments about this because it's very sex forward and sex positive. But I definitely feel, not trying to sound like a prude, I don't know how much I would talk about this with a child, especially the 10-year-old. That's the biggest thing. It's not the daughter as much. Maybe, I mean, she clearly is going to figure things out. And she does. Like, she's very aware. But the 10-year-old clearly is not understanding what's happening. So, yeah. But, yeah, I mean, I did actually find this funny. I'm like,
yeah, for sure. So, the wife goes off to find the husband to try to like, ease him into the idea of Stelio wanting to put it in him. Stelio goes back to the Pleasure Dome, and the pool is now full of fog.
Wait, and simultaneously, there's two things happening.
Okay.
So like he does walk in, and he's like, like I found the pool, and Sherry's there. But simultaneously, there's a cutscene, and the kid calls Medusa.
Oh, the kid calls Medusa.
Yeah, the kid calls Medusa. So he calls basically this Elvira character. And she's like, hey, no, call me with your scary stories. Call me if you want to tell me something spooktacular or whatever. And he calls, and he's like, there's a monster in my house. And even she doesn't believe him. And she's like,
she kind of clowns on him a little bit.
Yeah.
But then she has like a personalized message after they hang up, because this is like a live TV show. So she calls him over to the TV.
Yeah, so this is interesting because this is kind of a nice little twist that this alien is able to go through like channels and alter channels in TV, and then we've said, and maybe it's happening now, it's able to warp TV to TV to TV and like show things. So you're kind of under the impression that it's actually the alien doing it a little bit, and it's like, so she's like, I mean, he says everything like, my name's Sherman, there's this alien, like I need your help, like you're the only one who's gonna believe me. And she's overall nice, like you could probably tell it's a kid, but she's like, yeah, like as Mike said, like I'm clowns on him a little bit, and is like, this is not public broadcast. She's like, come on kid, like whatever, I have other things to do. But when she comes back, she's like, Sherman, come here, and like calls to him like a vampire,
Right, like come closer to the television.
Yeah, and he's like lulled in, like like he's bewitched. And then all of a sudden you see, boom, like there's a monster face, and you think it's the monster from the TV, and she has like a sock puppet or something.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and she's like, come on,
Gotcha,
Sherman.
bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, come on, Sherman, like we got things to do. That was a shout out to Sherman. So I was like, that's kind of sweet. Cute.
Yeah, I mean that was cool.
Yeah, I agree. I love Medusa in this, and you were meant to think it was the monster, but yeah, she's just like punking this kid. Sherman.
Yeah, Sherman. He had his little moment.
Now we're back to Spiro, or as we love him, Stelio.
Yeah, he's in the pool. So he strips down and he's wearing his little Speedo banana hammock thing, and he gets in the pool.
I don't know his motive either. Like, is he bi?
Stelio, he just wants to fuck. He's there for any and all.
But that's what I realistically mean. So he's like, I can't remember. Like, I think it's Stanley. We'll just even say dad, but I think it's Stanley. He is disrobing and talking to the woman in the pool, the blonde woman Cherry, who's not really Cherry anymore, but you see Cherry's.
You see her head. So it's the monster doing the thing she does.
I was going to say substance, but he has like, the matter left over.
Yeah,
the inhabited body snatched version of Cherry. But he's disrobing, but he's talking about saying, he's like, oh, did you see Stanley? Like, he's so hot. Like, but he's disrobing, but then he's going to Cherry like he's gonna have sex with her in a fog pool.
Well, he asked her if
fog pools seem pretty hot. Like, so on a side note, like fog pools, yes.
He did ask her if she wanted a quickie while they wait.
Oh, I did not hear that.
So he's there to party. He doesn't care with who.
Wow, he's a very
I think
the stamina on Stelio.
Yeah, the father was the prize for him, but in the meantime,
sure.
Yeah, he's got time to kill.
I mean, again, fog pools, dope.
Right. But I mean, so long story short, he gets monstered in the pool.
Yeah, he does. And he goes on pretty quickly. He gets, to her, and he gets like alligator snapped in half. He gets really close to her, and there's like basically like the two jaws of an alligator comes up and like snap. It's like the piranha plant in Super Mario. Like snap, you're dead.
That's exactly what happens.
Stelio. And then the kid calls the police again.
Yeah, and the police are still not stoked about this.
Yeah, and then the police are like, now you're in serious trouble. You should not have called. We warned you about this. This is not a joke. And he's like, he says something like, screw you. And then he hangs up the phone, and you hear this like voiced over dub. So I think I don't know if it's trying to be serious. I think it's trying to be serious, sort of. But imagine, I hear overdub, and I often think like that narrative, like, does it work well? And other podcasts I listen to also note this, like, do we like this, narrative? Like Christmas Story, Wonder Years, that's my wheelhouse. I mean, when Luke Skywalker is in an X-Wing and you hear Obi-Wan be like, nah, use the Force. It's dope. This is not that message.
It is not.
It's Grandpa saying, remember what I told you about explosives, boy? blow your dang balls off.
Yeah. So the kid arms himself to the teeth. He's like rigging the door with like C4 to get out of the.
So this becomes this other movie, this Home Alone into we want this monster to be successful. That's going to be the transition.
Right.
Yeah. And also blow your balls. That's the Star Wars cut scene. And they're like, Luke,
You got to blow your balls off, Luke.
like no. Like he's taking off his radar gear. Like he's not going to make it. Like Luke, blow your balls off. No, like and he does. This kid does try to do that.
He does.
So I think it's at this point the daughter comes home with OD.
Yeah. OD and the daughter pull into the driveway. So I believe before this, the mother and father get killed.
Yes, you that is correct.
I
was flipping my pages. It goes down pretty quickly. They basically just go to the pool to see Stelio.
Whatever the fuck his name is.
They go see him and the Cherry, and they're like, they're both at the pool, and they're both just killed. Like dad and mom are just dead. So dad is like goo clawed in the face, and mom is like straight up what we're believed to be devoured. She's like, no, and that's it.
Yeah, so the daughter and Uncle Rico come home. They come inside the door, and the kid is just right up in their shit right away. He's got his assault rifle as mentioned earlier, and he's rambling on about like everyone's dead, the monster's killing everybody.
And this is what you noted earlier too. They like, don't they think it's a real assault rifle? And these two are not alarmed. And that's why.
Yeah, no one is alarmed by this. And at this point, we know that it is a real assault rifle.
But that's what I'm thinking. This is, probably filmed in '85, released in '86. Like, I mean, these were the guns of the time, so they're probably like, this kid has a toy gun,
right? Yeah, and Uncle Rico isn't cool with this. Is like, his line was, "Buzz off, dude. I want to party." Like he doesn't want to deal with any of this. He's just here to like, to get down. And the daughter's like,
she says, "I'm just going to give him his pill."
Right, like I'll make you take your pill.
And Uncle Rico, but right back. Pills. What color?
Yeah.
Come on, OD. Come on.
OD now thinks this kid likes to fucking party.
OD, keep it in your pants. Keep your pill habit on the side.
He's gonna roll with it. But yeah, so like the son is telling this tale about a monster who's killed the parents, who's killed the grandfather, who killed the satellite repairman. So the daughter's like, you know what? Let's just go talk to mom and dad. So they go into the bedroom, the parents' bedroom. And
this is where on a side note, the grossest scene.
This is super gross. So what we see in the bedroom is a bed with four. Well, we don't know that they're just heads. Like the monster is doing like the head puppet thing.
Yeah. So the monster again can transform into anything it's consumed. Correct. I guess. And so it turns into the four heads.
So we see the heads of mom, dad,
Sparrow and Cherry.
Yeah, and everything is covered in goo as usual.
Yeah, everyone just looks like wet. Yeah, like imagine like your face is kind of melting.
Yeah,
like you became the dough format of a character in Coraline. Like you're leaving the world.
It's like that. So the daughter's like, oh God, you guys. But so she thinks everyone's alive. The kid's losing his mind. She's like, yeah, like he said, you guys got killed. Grandpa got killed, and then we see. The fifth head, Grandpa, pops out of the bed. He's like, hey, I'm just taking care of business.
I was like, but Grandpa's there. That's honest to God the grossest scene for me. Because Grandpa pops up in the middle of both couples, just taking care of business. And even the daughter is like,
you're like, okay, that's too much.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, yes, this movie is very sex positive, but I'm like, the trauma of the kids. Like, oh my God. And yes, and soon after, the sister Suzy leaves, and she walks out, and the kid Sherman is like, because he saw part of it, and I think the sister Suzy shields him a little bit, but then like is disgusted and backs out.
Yeah,
and he says, I thought it was a monster, and she's like, it's okay, someday you'll understand.
Right,
that's the thing. And I was like, come on, man, like don't mess with the kids. Like I don't care what anyone does, clearly, but like.
Yeah, don't gaslight this kid. Yeah. But yeah, so now, and I guess reading back through my notes, it makes more sense. But I have several notes through the rest of this movie. Like they think the parents are alive, and I guess I kind of forgot that was
Yeah, and the alien
thing.
keeps coming back and forth on the TV. Warning, warning, warning. Like you keep seeing this in like intermittent scenes that it's, this alien is trying to broadcast. And I again think it's more global.
Yeah.
Or if you have the satellite, like if you have the hookup, you've got to stop it. Like turn off your satellites. I guess because then it seems a little more pinpointed than that.
Yeah, I don't know. But so yeah, so they leave the bedroom, and the monster comes out of whatever TV is their hallway TV. I guess
That's one of my many notes. Like, oh my
Yeah.
god, like there's another TV. And again, on a side note, I am also seeing what I said earlier. I was like, I have a lot of Cyndi Lauper references. I love the sister. I think the sister is super cute.
Yeah, definitely. Her
Hey,
hair is like 12 feet tall.
hell yeah! Like if you are into '80s culture and you don't think the sister's cute, that's crazy.
Right.
talk.
She's wearing 14 skirts on top of each other.
yeah. She's ready for winter. She's ready for
Yeah.
summer. She's got 17 hair colors, and she's all business. I just like kind of her attitude. Like whatever.
Yeah, she don't give a shit. But yeah, so the monster comes out of whatever TV is closest and starts chasing them down the hallway. And Uncle Rico, the boyfriend, kind of like goes to shield himself, but he has his heavy metal cool guy leather gauntlets on.
He's like, no, get away
Yeah.
from me, no.
And the monster sees this, and then the monster has a little flashback.
This is okay. Okay, so I'm glad Mike's kind of laughing and pausing. I also have notes on this. This is when the crew was like, hey, we're going to stop working for the weekend and we're all going to do drugs and go into the desert. And someone had a religious experience and they wrote down scribble and they came back and they tried to film what they thought was amazing. I don't know if this is a stroke of genius. I'm going to reference The Office, where Stanley Hudson, things happen, and he thinks very little of Michael Scott, Steve Carell, and after years of how he feels tormented by him, something happens, and Stanley says, "Oh my God, maybe he's a genius." Sometimes I just say funny things. That's the moment I have here where someone honestly had this weird moment of genius. So yes, John Grease crosses his arms and we see these studded out gauntlets. And now Mike should proceed. We get a flashback series that, God help us all, if I could have ever predicted in my life, I don't even know how to explain
no
this.
one would have seen
It's
this coming.
crazy.
But so yeah, the monster has a flashback, and we learn more about the monster's origin later. But the monster has a flashback to someone being nice to it,
Like
and
little snacks.
yeah, and so we don't see who's being nice to it. We just see like
A gauntlet.
like
set
a
of
similar
hands.
hand, like hand gauntlet glove
And it's like,
situation.
oh, snacks.
Right, and it's like giving him snacks and petting him, and he's like,
Pet his little nose.
yeah. So he's like, oh, this is the gauntlet of master.
Or someone who's always been nice to me.
Yeah. So now,
Don't bite the hand that feeds.
exactly. So now the monster's like, friend.
Yeah.
So
Then this is now the third quadrant of the film for us.
right.
Because this movie derails quite like. Yes,
Yeah.
the kids do think their parents are alive, so it is not a horror film, but we as the audience know they are not, and everyone is super dead outside of John Grease, the boyfriend, Suzy, the sister, and Sherman, the son.
Right.
And now they're like the next, almost last third of the film is them just chilling out and partying.
Right. They're
with
just
the-
hanging out with a monster. And so I feel it's important to bring up, they're hanging out with this monster. They're feeding it snacks. They make it like a Hungry Man microwave meal.
This is one step away from Encino Man.
Yeah, correct. But they're doing all of this and they're not involving their parents deliberately because they think their parents are having a fuck party.
Also, they come up with the idea so Suzy has sidebar, and I have that somewhere in my notes. Suzy takes a sidebar, is like, hey, we need to have a sidebar, and she's like, what are we gonna do with this thing? And they come up with the idea, we can make a $1 million.
We can make money off of
yeah,
this.
like they're like, we're gonna sell this thing. People are gonna know there's aliens. Yeah, 3 sidebar. That's what I wrote.
Yeah.
and they're like, that's crazy. Like, we're going to do this. That's why we don't want to tell our parents.
Right.
So the writing does kind of tighten up for me a little bit. Like, all right, like,
Okay, sure.
like, yeah, you don't know your parents are dead. This is kind of crazy. Now you're just like, the alien's super chill. It's
Right.
Bud the Chud.
They're just hanging out.
The Chud.
But so you've got a monster. You want to profit from this. Who you going to call? You're going to call Medusa again because that's the only celebrity you know. So they call Medusa again, and we see Medusa.
Well, I think the sister's like, I'll call, and the Sherman goes,
Because like
no, I called before.
Like we're homies.
Yeah,
she knows
she
me.
knows.
So we see Medusa in the studio, and like her show has wrapped up for the evening, and the camera's cut, and she's like, "Hey, random assistant, give me a brew and a smoke," is what she asks
I know
for.
that, yeah, brew and a smoke.
Brew and a smoke. And the phone rings, and she picks it up, because she's nice like that, and she's like, "Hey, look, chump, we're done. Show's over. Call next week." But then the sister intervenes. She's like, "Hey, look, no, like we're having this dope party. You should come to it." So they invite Medusa to this made up party.
Well, on a side note, this is again another plus for the sister. Like Sherman's getting denied again.
Yeah,
and
but she's thinking on her feet.
Yeah, Suzy jumps in and is like, you like parties? You like things I have no access to? I don't know, probably. Like they do have a bar. Suzy's not dumb. And Suzy charms her way into Medusa's her like, I don't know, these kids got something going on. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, way to go, Suzy.
Yeah. So, but I mean, in all honesty, like aside from the monsters, I could have fun in that house.
Oh, yeah. And maybe the porn pictures.
Yeah, that's part of the fun.
I mean, you could maybe trim some of them down. Like your collection of 90 becomes obtrusive
Yeah.
after a while.
I mean, like a dozen tops.
Like you walk in, you see these porn paintings, you're like, okay, I get it. And then you're like 5 rooms deep, you're like, dude, I get it.
Yes.
17
Okay.
rooms later, like, dude,
I get
you have a jacuzzi pool and a lot of dominatrix gear. Like I signed up from the beginning. Like we got it.
Yeah. So Medusa's intrigued.
But they don't know. Well, she hangs up.
Yeah,
and it's
she
like,
hangs up.
Is
We don't
she
know.
coming? And Sherman's like, is she coming? And Suzy's like, I just don't know.
Yeah.
Now the monster starts flipping out on the TV with OD.
Yeah.
This is this is one of my favorite serious exchanges with OD and the monster because he calls the monster a butthole several times.
Is this where he says, "Shut up, butthole"?
Shut up, butthole. Like, don't be so impatient, butthole. There's so many blank, comma, butthole comments that it's insane. I'm like, man, like, you don't know this. You're not as cool as you think you are. There was a conversation when it was like, oh, what are we going to do? Like, we'll sell this monster. They almost try to exclude him. He's like, I'm the one he listens to. Like, he communicates with me. Now it's all butthole this, butthole that.
Yeah.
He's angry.
Oh, and this is where the cop shows up.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about this.
The cop who
I just wrote doorbell ding dong.
Yeah, doorbell ding dong happens, and the cop shows up. He's like, "I got a warrant to arrest." What's the kid's name? Sherman. I got a warrant to arrest Sherman.
So my thought is, clearly you don't have a warrant. That's weird.
Yeah.
This isn't real. So, Mike, do you think this is a cop being like, I'm so aggravated, now I'm gonna call you out in front of your parents? Like you prank called the police.
Maybe.
I think that was the move. Like,
that might have been.
I'm sick of kids doing this. This is ridiculous. Like, I have a real job. Like, if people don't take this seriously, I'm gonna scare straight these kids.
I don't think he went to a judge that night and
Right?
got a
Like, no,
warrant
yeah.
somewhere.
Like, this kid pranked me a second time, Your Honor. Like, get him in jail.
I mean, do judges need to sign? I'm
Yes.
only saying this
Yeah,
because I watch television.
Well, you can't just like get a warrant out of like thin. Someone of authority needs to.
It's not like being ordained on the internet. You can't just like,
You could have all the warrants. And
Yeah.
like enter everyone's houses, my child. Yeah, like someone needs to tell you something. There's some like official that grants you and your crew,
Right.
like whatever like branch of government you're in, access to something.
yeah, so he didn't have this. He was just being. He wanted to shut this down.
Yeah, but what a weird move, man. Like, you got a second prank call and you're going to scare straight this kid. Like,
Right.
Also, you're rolling up to a mansion. Like, sorry, police officers, like, you want to scare straight a kid? Like, probably don't go to the $5 billion
Yeah.
house because they're going to countersue your ass every which
Yeah,
way.
the rich
Or
porn
they're gonna
house
sue you.
isn't the one to do this at. But he busts in. He's like, I got this warrant. See, he didn't talk like Edward G. Robinson, but I will. But so, and he walks into this scene, and the sister and the brother are like running down the hallway. The brother is lobbing a grenade at the monster.
Real grenade.
Real grenade. Yeah, because he is armed to the fucking teeth right now. And the cop's like, oh, fuck. And then there's not really a lot goes on, but the monster eats the cop and also Uncle Rico.
Yeah, John Grice, Grease dies by saying, like, shut up, butthole. Like, again, he says it like again. Like,
Yeah.
what is he doing? Why are you aggravating this monster?
The monster's
Here's
done
your $1
with
million
this.
ticket.
Yeah. But yeah, so him and the cop get got. And now this is when kind of Sherman starts taking control.
This is why I like him. This is the back. So up until this time, kind of, I'm okay. So again, going into 3 quadrants. The first quadrant, I'm okay with him. The second quadrant, I like him more. And this last half, or this last third, this is the reason I like Sherman. This is why I think Suzy and Sherman are my favorite start to finish.
Yeah, so he's like, you know what?
Medusa.
Like, I got these guns. We got to get our parents out of here. And this is where I wrote down, like, oh shit, they still think their parents are alive.
Yeah.
Because that just completely confused me throughout this whole movie.
Yeah, Mike, I actually have another side note. I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I also had to dissect, like, why are you palling around with the monster? Like, your parents are dead.
Right.
Like, did you hate your parents that much?
But
that
they
you
don't think that,
Like,
yeah.
I'm going to make $1 million. Like, my parents were killed, but I went on Oprah with, with this monster. I was like, oh, no. Like, you really think your parents are alive? Yeah, totally.
Right.
Totally.
So they run into the bedroom to get the parents out of here, and that's when they see that the parents are not alive. It's just like a blood and goo covered bed.
It's ribbons of things that I can no. And then someone says, like, no, they ate them. Like, like, are you like a forensics team?
Yeah,
Like, I don't know.
They
how
come
you
to
got
that conclusion pretty quickly, but
I would just be like, this is gross. I don't know what this is. I wouldn't assume, like, my parents have been cut to ribbons.
well, they got there pretty quick though.
I mean, they kind of were, but I don't.
Yeah.
With what we were shown as the audience, I don't know what that matter in that bed was. That was strange.
But it was gross. And they're realizing. So then they're like, we got to get this fucking monster. So the monster now is hanging out in the pool watching television and just like having the time of his life. He's like giggling and kind of clapping. And the son is trying to sneak up on him. Like, I think in his mind, he realizes if he throws the big satellite dish remote in the pool, something will happen. So he tries to like sneak around the monster to get to it.
Yeah, there's 2 things happening. So,
Okay.
yeah, he's sneaking around.
Poorly, because he fucking sucks at sneaking.
Oh, yeah. I think I have to flip my page of notes on this. Yeah, he's sneaking around. And he's got a gun. So, again, he's got this like machine gun of some sort. I know nothing about guns, but he's got some kind of machine gun. And he's planning, like, I'm going to shoot it. But the sister kind of acknowledges, no. Like, somehow, and I think the sister's been observant, like, this whole time. Like, it's warping around from the TV. Kill the TV. Kill the remote control. And we see the master remote control. And she motions, kind of get over there. Don't kill him. Kill that. And then it's kind of trapped. Like, it's kind of this Hail Mary of, we don't know what's going on, but it might not do well if you do that. I kind of dig it. Again, one of the reasons I like Suzy, sister, awesome.
Yeah. So, well, I think before this, they had started shattering every TV that they ran into, just to like, not give it too many avenues of.
Yeah, and I think Sherman does this after as well.
Oh yeah, no, they continue. So yeah, he's trying to sneak up on it, and he slips. There's not like a lot of goo, but he slips in it because he's a fucking clumsy moron.
Yeah, in his green goo, I noticed or noted on the side that it reminded me of Home Alone 2 green goo that he puts on like the fire escape.
It's that like that Gak shampoo
that
that he
monster,
buys.
yeah.
Yeah. It is exactly that. He just bought a shitload of it. But so yeah, the monster hears him sneaking up because he falls in the fucking goo, and then. Like he's hacking away at the monster's tentacle with his knife.
No.
Oh,
There's kind of this weird switch up. This was a crazy move. He is sneaking around. He falls, and the monster turns around and Sherman kind of like lulls him like, hey buddy, it's me, Sherman. I was just checking on you because you think the monster's gonna attack immediately. And it's like, no, dude, I was just like checking up on you, watching like shows. Like, that's super cool. That, like, whoa, what are you doing? And yeah, there's like a moment that is actually working. And then the sisters like shoot the thing, like, do it.
Right.
And the monster's like, wait, what? Like, what's going on? Yeah. And that fails again. The kid fails twice. I kind of like the double moment. Again, I'm going to sneak up on it. I'm going to shoot it. I fell. Boom, fail. Sister's like, do this. Kid fails at that too. And the monster just goes haywire.
Yeah. So then the sister has to take control. She runs up, grabs the remote, and throws it in the fucking pool. And then there's some sparks, and I think the monster disappears, maybe?
Yeah, I don't know where the monster goes, but Sherman and her definitely have grenades.
Yeah. Yes. And now, so the monster disappears. He's saved from it. This is where the alien from the television appears.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we don't know why. I'm sorry. Like, if I paused, I was looking through a couple notes. I don't know why this starts happening. So one of the TVs that kind of looks broken, but maybe it's not.
Who knows?
Like, so usually lasers pop out of it, or like this like 80s like digitized, computerized like blue beam comes out, and that's when the monster comes out. But this time it's like spaghetti noodles. Like if you had like the Play-Doh like spaghetti factory press and all those noodles came out, like that's what it looks like, but multicolored. It's like red, yellow, pink, all these things, and then the alien just pops out, and I like, there is nothing in my mind and notes that trigger why specifically the alien is now in their house.
Well, that's
like,
why I was wondering, like, is he addressing the world or just this house? Because, like, he is now here.
Well, Sherman says that earlier on. Like, no, he's talking about the alien. Like, he does feel initially, and all throughout the film, not just initially, that is what's happening. But because the alien is not broadcasting in words that would indicate that. Because it's Americans, turn off your satellites for 200 years. Like, that has
Right,
to
yeah,
be
that
like
seems like
more
it's a more broad address.
Yeah, like your governments, your people in charge of these things.
Well, either way, he knew exactly what house to go to.
He was like, oh, crap.
So he
Boom.
he pops up, and now
Pretty quickly.
And now he's explaining everything. He's laying down what happens. He's like, hey, look, so I'm really sorry. So that monster, like on our planet, they're adorable pets, but sometimes they mutate and go fucking buck wild. So we have to put them in special incinerators that turn them into electricity and shoot them off into the universe. And that's usually fine.
But it ping-ponged into yours.
But it ping-ponged into your fucking satellite dish.
Which brings me back, like, why did it hit 3 planets like a pinball machine?
It doesn't seem like it's a great plan. No. And the kid's like, yeah, that's great, homie. This thing has eaten like so many people.
I love that alien at that point. He's like, whoa,
well, like,
humans.
It's consumed humans. I'm going to get fired.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah, he's like, okay, well, we got to fucking fix this. So they're like hatching a plan to do this. And now Medusa shows up. Her limo shows up in the driveway.
Yeah, so it's 2 people. So
it's Medusa and her driver.
Yeah, because quickly we're going to be at the end of this film.
Yeah.
At the end, I'm like, who the hell's that? Oh,
it's Medusa's limo driver. Yeah.
Yeah, because we see him just like in the darkness and lurking around, and at the very end, it's in the daylight.
Yeah.
I'm like, who the hell's that?
Yeah, so she gets out of her limo and she goes into this mansion because she thinks there's a fucking swinging party that she was invited to, and she sees the goo everywhere. She's like, "What the fuck kind of?"
I also have noted goo. I told you,
weird party. It's all goo.
Yeah, if you tracked my wording, goo every which way.
And so she's wandering through this house, and she walks into the room that the kids and this alien are having this conversation, and you know, she comes in at the last minute. She doesn't get all the details, but she's like, "Oh fuck! This kid said that there was a monster here. They got me here under the pretenses of a party. There is a monster. I'm gonna save the day. I'm gonna kill this fucking monster. Save this kid." So I don't think I specified. The monster is wearing like a spacesuit because like he can't breathe the atmosphere.
He's got a space helmet.
A space helmet, yeah. So she grabs like a statue or something, and she fucking smacks this thing in like the glass dome helmet, and air gets in. He's like, no, atmosphere. And like,
And he says that. He's like, my atmosphere, I'm dying.
right. And then his head fucking explodes.
And it explodes into blue goo.
Blue goo. So she's like, heck yeah, kids, look at this. Medusa's here. I saved you. And they're like, oh, fuck. No, that was, God damn it, Medusa.
Yeah. So again, if we're doing quadrants of this film, this third quadrant is just amazing. Like, this is the redeeming factor of this movie for me.
Okay.
The twists that go around in this film, like, holy crap, the cop's coming and the cop's now dead.
Right.
Medusa's like, holy crap, I saved these kids from aliens.
Right. And
You're wrong.
You're
Now
wrong.
you screwed.
and now we have a super crazy moment. The monster, they're in this room by themselves, the Medusa and the two kids. The monster fucking Kool-Aid mans through the wall.
Yeah, nah, he doesn't like disturbances. Like,
Yeah.
he's cool when he watches TV. What are you doing in the background? He is not cool with that.
Yeah. So, and like I guess he's like screaming at them, but also sucking them in. Like there's some sort of like vacuum.
Yeah, he has a vacuum power. I also know that. He does that several times. He
Yeah.
vacuumed the dad in.
Yeah, he vacuumed the dad in. So he's vacuuming him in. The son grabs the alien's gun, thinking that like, okay, this is the gun that can kill him, because clearly my arsenal can't hurt him. He can't get the gun to work. He does get the gun to work, but he misses. And then we don't see anything else.
Yeah, he does the vacuum, and I think I'm trying to look. He lunges at one person last. Monster bursts down wall. Kid shoots laser. Alien tries to barracuda them.
I don't know.
That doesn't make
Maybe.
sense. Kid gets sucked up.
Yeah, they all get sucked up.
But someone's at the end. Is it the sister? Is the sister like the last one lunged at?
Maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, basically we don't really fully know what happens to the three of them. Like the last time we see, they're struggling to not get sucked in.
Don't get sucked in.
Don't get sucked in. But so now we cut to later that night, the next morning, whatever. The limo driver, Medusa's limo driver, is in the limo.
That's
sleeping.
the assistant. I think that's the assistant.
Whatever, yeah.
Well, that's because I'm like, who the hell is this?
Assistant, he's driving the limo.
Well, the big thing is this movie is shot and it's so dark all the way through. Like, no one has defined facial features.
That's
like,
true.
You just sort of like, I know Cyndi Lauper haircut.
Mm-hmm.
I love this person because they're like bold attitude. You have this like the kid in camouflage and gun, but it's still dark. But this is like a very rare day shot in this.
Yeah, so like he wakes up, he clearly was sleeping in this limo. He's like, oh fuck, where am I? And he's like, oh yeah, okay, I'm at this stupid mansion. And he looks in the back and we see Medusa, but it's like gross slime alien Medusa.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I was in the backseat the whole time. Like,
Yeah, we got to go to the studio.
yeah, and the assistant is like thoughtfully like, oh, you're hungover, you partied too
Yeah,
much.
exactly. It's like, okay, to the studio, ma'am.
Yeah.
And then that is the end of the movie.
In your thought, like, the warning was if this monster ever reaches the media, it's gonna go wide.
Well,
And
yeah,
then it has
he's
access
getting to
all
the studio,
TVs.
so like all the satellite dishes.
Yeah, and it absorbs all the things that you like and know.
Right.
So yeah, the kids are dead.
Everyone's dead. Everyone died in this movie.
I don't like that everyone died.
No, I'm
But
fine with that.
How do you like this film?
It was fun. I mean, this is one of those things where it's hard for me to rationalize why I enjoyed this movie, because there is no single redeeming quality. The acting is all pretty bad. The special effects are gross and stupid. The plot doesn't really make any sense. But like all together, this is kind of a bananas fun movie for me. Yeah, I enjoyed this.
I was gonna say this movie. It takes me a little bit to get into the swing of things. I jokingly noted quadrants, but I've known my co-host for decades, so I've said before that going to see live concerts or going to see plays, it always takes me like a handful of minutes to be like I'm absorbed in, like I'm make believing in the situation. But there's such hard cuts in this movie that are a little abrasive, like the parents, the boyfriend, the actual monster, that sometimes it takes me a little out of it. But I agree with Mike. It's like hard to rationalize. I like this movie start to finish. When we started it, as I said, I was like, I remember like a third of it. I remember this monster. I kind of remember the objective of it. I don't remember like the kinky
All the
parents.
sex stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't either. I like the overall conceit I had, but yeah, all the weird sex stuff I did not remember.
I also don't like fully remember like the boyfriend and like that plot, and that subplot is my favorite. Again, John Grease. I really like his character. Suzy is by far my favorite. Medusa comes in and just like kind of kicks ass. I do like the kid. Like I do feel it kind of evolves. Like there's a lot of pluses for this. So like that's why I had fun. It's a little bit of Home Alone, a little bit of Halloween, a little bit of I don't know. Like there's
Yeah,
just
there's a
like a
lot.
lot of like dipping in, like little Goonies, a little Pee Wee's or oh shoot, like Pee Wee Herman's movie, his first movie.
Big Adventure.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, Pee Wee's Big Adventure.
Okay.
Like there's a little bit of like early Tim Burton in this. Yeah, I don't know. I had fun.
Yeah, no, the movie was definitely fun. Is not maybe not the word, but that I would use. But yeah,
I mean, some parts, I guess.
yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun.
So
It's
fun
enjoyable.
here
Like,
and there.
if you like kind of weird old campy horror movies, you'll probably enjoy this.
Yeah, we were going through like different Halloween movies, and clearly like throughout the years, I mean, we didn't plan this to be a podcast just for like this one year, but like spanning beyond that, maybe we shouldn't just always have the same thing, but Dead Rockers and Halloween, woof.
Yeah, going through the list of movies that we wanted to do for October, like 90% of them were like a rock band has to fight demons, or like that just seems to be the thing. Like we can't do 4 movies of all about demon rock
But
bands.
we'll have one for October.
No,
so-
we definitely will have one. And stick around. I assume next year, as we're recording from our various mansions, we'll have a couple more rock themed Halloween movies to watch. But
I just hope it's in haunted mansions that were like now in a spooky setting. We can now finally talk about the movie that was filmed but never fully released here
and that's fine too. Yeah, I mean, I'm willing to live in a spooky mansion,
for like a day.
or however long.
Like a day person. I think it was Martin and Orloff. I know. I was like, Amy Poehler, my wife and I love you. Come over, have like a sleepover.
For one night.
But yeah, you got to go the next morning. Like we'll have breakfast.
We'll Grubhub some breakfast burritos from
like-
Sam's or whatever.
But maybe between like 12 and 2, you
Right.
could just like see
Yeah,
yourself.
we can skedaddle. Yeah. So yeah, the movie's fun. We'll be back next week with another one of these,
And maybe a guest.
and maybe a guest. Who knows? A spooky guest. Ooh. Yeah, and again, submit your suggestions. If there's a movie you want us to cover this month, we have an open slot. Rabbit Troop Sucks podcast at Gmail, rabbittroopsucks.com. Leave a comment on whatever podcast platform you have, and let us know. And if we pick your submission, we'll send you a shot glass. You have to give us your address, and hopefully that isn't weird. But we'll send you a little Rabbit Troop Sucks podcast shot glass.
Oh yeah, and we also talked that if it's not directly for this Halloween and it's just like a fun movie and we just play it, yeah, like if we read it and we're inspired, totally, we'll also send this to you.
Yeah, we'll come up with something to give you. We have stuff. We have things.
But it's Halloween weather. Put on a hoodie.
It is Halloween weather. I'm wearing a hoodie right now.
I'm wearing an oversized sweater, and
Yeah.
I feel great about it.
We're pretty cozy down here.
Damn right.
Yeah. So I feel like I had something else that I wanted to bring up, but I don't remember. So I'm going to shut the fuck up. So again, thanks for listening. You guys make it all worthwhile. Paul, do you have anything to add before we leave?
I don't know. Do you remember anything you were gonna say before that? I was like, I'm intrigued. What Mike? What were you?
No,
talking
I don't. It probably wasn't important.
I think the one thing that I'm gonna try to achieve, even if it fails, I think we'll have maybe an extended Halloween release.
Okay.
I talked to Mike about playing like maybe like a short game.
Yeah, we don't know what that is yet, but we're trying to cook something up.
And September was a month of guests. Maybe some people will join us. Maybe we'll get some new people involved.
Yeah.
I think maybe a short game. Damn it! I just love Halloween. I mean, I hope you're wearing your hoodies. I hope you're carving pumpkins.
I do have an idea for that game.
We'll talk.
We
about
can talk
this.
about that off mic. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so as always, this is Paul and Mike. This has been Rabbit Troop Sucks, and shut up, buttholes.
Damn it! Why would you say it to a monster? Rabbit Troop sucks. God.
Yeah. Okay.